and welcome to another episode of Ramblin' Rose. Today we're going to talk shrubs. First of all, why would you want to prune your shrubs? There's a few reasons for that. One is to encourage flower production. Another is to maintain the desired shape and size or form of the shrub, and to encourage good spacing of the branches. Now, when you prune really depends on what kind of shrub you're pruning. I have a variety of shrubs here that have been sadly neglected for several years. I admit that. So first off, you can prune what's dead or diseased anytime. You can kind of see, for example, this branch right here is dead back to here. You can see there's a green leaf here. So I could really take that anytime. Generally, you don't want to prune shrubs while they're actively growing and flowering. There's a couple exceptions to that we're going to talk about. So you can prune dead and diseased branches at any time. Early spring bloomers should be pruned right after they bloom, and most people are very familiar with the lilacs. Now is a very good time to prune your lilac, and that's why we're here today. But the rest of these kinds of shrubs you don't prune until they're dormant or early spring before the new growth starts. And the reason for that is that lilacs and a few other kinds of early flowering shrubs, they put out their buds for next year's flowers right after they're done during the summer. So if you prune them, you won't have any blooms the next year. As I said, shrubs that bloom later toward the fall should be pruned late winter, early March-ish kind of, before the new growth comes out, because they bloom on what's called new wood. New growth. Arborvitae, we have a few here that really took a winter hit, but they continue to grow all summer, and they can be sheared anytime through midsummer. Also, the kind of pruning you're going to do is really depending on why you're pruning. So there's basically 4 different kinds of pruning. One is thinning, where if you have a shrub that's not getting enough air and is starting to look diseased because it's kind of crowded, what you can do is you can go in and take out some of the branches, either at its point of origin or cutting it back to an outer growing joint so that it gets more air in between. The second kind of pruning is called heading back, and that's where you just kind of take your shears and just kind of shape it, just kind of make it. I could definitely do this. So in the early spring, before this has leaves on it, I'll be able to see where its bones are and kind of the shape of it, and I can kind of head it back and make it a nicer shape. The third kind of pruning is called rejuvenation. And that's when, especially lilacs, when it gets to be old and a bit overgrown, if you get bigger trunks, multi-stemmed trunks, you can kind of cut out 1/3 of those every year and just kind of keep the plant kind of rejuvenating itself. And then the fourth kind of pruning that's much more drastic is called renewal or renovation. And in my term, it's hack the whole thing down, but it's actually called rejuvenation. Renovation or renewal pruning, and that is where you take a shrub like this that's very, very overgrown and has been here for quite a long time, and you just cut it all down to the ground level. It will come back. If it's one of these multi-stemmed kinds of shrubs, it will come back. So let's take just a little bit of a look at some of these. And keep in mind, if you prune significantly, you might not have blooms for a year or two. So I'm going to start with this one. This is a little spirea, and you can see it's just kind of gotten big and round. I wouldn't do anything with it now, but there are some dead branches that I could take out here at this point in time. In fact, they're breaking off. And then during the dormant time, what I'll do is I'll look at the bones and I'll see if any of the branches are crossing or rubbing on each other, and then I might just kind of prune it back so that it's a little bit more round and less taking over the whole space. But this guy is happy to be here. This is a potentilla. It's also one of those multi-stemmed shrubs, and so I will probably renew that. The thing that we really want to talk about today is the lilacs, because now is the time to prune lilacs. So let's go look at my lilac. So this is a lilac that's been here longer than I have. And if you come in here and look, there you can see that I've done some renewal, rejuvenation, pruning. There are some larger trunks in there that I've taken out. This, let's see, where did it go? Right here, there's a bunch of things that are kind of rubbing on each other and growing kind of crossed, and I would take those out. Actually, what I'm thinking of doing with this is a complete taking it down to the ground and then letting it come back up. I have one more shrub to show you very quickly, this dogwood in the corner here. And again, I would probably, when it's dormant, I would probably head this back and just improve its shape a little bit. But when I was looking at it, I did notice it has fairly nice stems in here. None of them are too big, but I did see this one here that's crossed over and growing toward the ground. This one right here. And so I'll probably take that one out. Other than that, it probably just needs a little bit of shaping. So that's it for pruning your shrubs. Lilac is really one of the few that you would do during the summer. The rest, wait until it's dormant, look at its bones and see what it needs. Thanks.